OpenAI has given us what we have been asking for. Sora is finally out in the wild. This is something we've seen demos of for a long, long time. And then all of a sudden, OpenAI was getting passed by pretty much every other model, including Runway and others. But everybody kept thinking, when is Sora going to come out? Now, the idea was that they were worried about guardrails. They were worried about safety concerns, et cetera, et cetera. And even now, I've seen as it's coming out that they are saying, oh, well, nobody under 18 can use it. Now, I tried to sign up for a Sora account, but it was like trying to get Taylor Swift tickets. I couldn't get it. But Jaeden, if you have heard Jaden's voice in the last 18 months, you know that Jaeden is all about video and what is going to happen when videos is finally sprung upon us. Jaeden, take it on. What do you got here? What's so exciting about you? You've been talking about this forever.
Yeah, so I am really, really excited about AI and video, and I've been saying that, 2025 is going to be the year of it. I'm really excited. I think this is perfect timing for December. We're halfway through December almost for them to finally roll this out. If you see the demos, and again, for anyone watching this over on YouTube or Spotify, you can see actual video demos, and I'll kind of be showing, but otherwise we'll explain for all the listeners on Apple, which I think is like 70% of you.
Yeah, guys, by the way, try, if you are ever on YouTube, get over to AI Applied, because Jaeden does amazing things as we're talking. For the audio, he'll describe. Anyway, sorry, keep going.
Yeah, so what I wanted to mention is there's really in-depth videos. They have some videos of close-up of people's faces. Their skin is super, super precise. It's amazing. One thing that I do think is interesting is some people have criticized, Marcus Brownlee did a whole review video on this and criticized that the physics isn't quite cracked with the Sora model yet. So it's OpenAI, it's the biggest AI company. What they do create is impressive and also has a really big reach. But I think that we have some other AI video places that might be doing it better. There's a video that I was watching recently where they even feature this on their website of a woman and a man dancing. Something about the movement just doesn't seem 100% fluid to me. And the other thing that you'll notice is the woman has a dress that goes all the way to her ankles, so you can't really see her legs. They have another video of a lady in a really puffy white dress, which is cool, weird, and futuristic, and it's got some cool angles. But again, you can't see your legs, and I actually think that they're using those videos on purpose as the demo, just because it just feels like in some of these videos it's not quite there. So Marcus Brownlee, he showed an example of him. He uploaded a video of himself playing frisbee golf, and it was a picture. It was a picture of him, and he was diving for a frisbee and about to catch it. He turned it into a video, and in the actual video, what Sora ended up doing was taking the frisbee, and it morphed into all sorts of weird shapes and bounced all over the place and turned into a soccer ball by the end of the 30-second clip. And so
I love that.
It's just, I think that it's definitely not perfect. They got a long ways to go, but I'm happy because they're big and they're rolling this out, and you definitely can make some cool stuff with it. I don't know, from the little videos you've seen of this, Connor, what are your thoughts on it?
I think it's gorgeous. I'm always, as we always are, cautious about demos, right? Because even the Sora that came out, when was it, Gene? It feels like a year ago. When Sora,
almost.
Right,
February,
when it first came out, and those videos were extraordinary too. So first of all, you can always do things with demos, but here's what I think is great. When I've seen people using this out in the wild, I think it was Ethan Mollick, Professor Ethan Mollick out of Wharton, who's fantastic at this stuff, and I think it was him that was doing a comparison between Runway, Sora, and what is it? Is Kling the image one, or is Kling the...
Kling, I think it does video, yeah.
I think it does too. So anyway, so he was comparing these, and I think the thing was, a dog, a really complicated one, right? Like a dog walking through a modern art museum with a red balloon floating, just all this stuff, right? Mm-hmm. And the interesting thing was not just which one was good and which one was bad, but sort of in real time. I think what he did was he did a bunch of them, and then he took the best ones. He might have it on Twitter, Ethan Mollick on Twitter, but I'm not sure. Anyway, point being that the Sora one actually really was much better than current Runway and current, if it was Kling, I apologize if I'm, or Pika, I'm not sure which one it was. Anyway, whatever the other video thing was, the other ones were pretty good, and before you would have said those are good, but what Sora seemed to do really well, and I know that they were really working on the physics of it, right? Sort of how things sit in space, and this did it really well. It also really broke out the different features of the video, right? So, I mean, you could actually clearly see a red balloon, not sort of some nightmare fuelish red balloon that was morphing into something else. You could see the dog walking clearly, and little things like shadows and things like that you could see. But for me, the big thing was it was actually parsing out the different elements of the video. That's interesting to me. So I don't know, Jaeden, sort of like what your impression of it is, especially because you've seen a lot of other videos as well.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think it's hard with demos because if you go over to the Sora.com website, which is where this is going to live, it says account creation currently unavailable. And there's this pop up that says we're experiencing heavy traffic and it's temporarily disabled. So you can't get it. And we're seeing, like, yes, influencers, Ethan Mollick, other people's doing these great demos, which are cool. But again, I really want to get my actual hands on it to give, a real clean review on it. One thing that I do think is interesting and worth talking about here is, how much does this cost? What's included? How does this work? So I actually went and tracked down their payment pricing, and they're doing something very interesting with this, which is that they are running Sora on credits, not like, ChatGPT. You can kind of do unlimited unless you're, like ChatGPT. Yeah, I guess you get unlimited ChatGPT chat credits, but like they rate limit
because
you on
Jaeden,
OM
by the way,
for
sorry
you.
to interrupt, but unlike Dolly and all these other things, it's not built into ChatGPT, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
It lives separately, and so you're going to get credits. Now, if you have ChatGPT Plus, you get 1,000 credits to go use this. If you have ChatGPT Pro, you're going to get 10,000 credits. What was really interesting to me, though, is if you want a 1080p video, which if you're going to use it for YouTube, it has to at least be 1080p. Maybe you can use the smaller dimensions of like 480 if you're going to like experiment with a prompt. But by the time you want a video that you're actually going to use, so I'm just going to go to that. If you want 1080p, it's going to be 200 credits for 5 seconds. Now, if you have ChatGPT Pro, what that means is that you essentially get 5 videos a month, period. That's it. If you have ChatGPT, that's ChatGPT Plus. If you have ChatGPT Pro, which is like $200 a month, so I mean that's definitely expensive, you get bumped up to, 2,000, or it costs 2,000 credits for a 20-second video. So again, even if you had ChatGPT, the $200 a month ChatGPT Pro account, you'd only get 5 20-second 1080p videos per month. So I think it just goes to show this is quite expensive. They're trying to figure out how they're going to make money and how to not lose money on this. Like you mentioned, Connor, it is better than other models, but it's obviously coming at the cost of compute, and it's very expensive. And $200 gets you 5 videos that are 20 seconds long.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up because, on AI Applied, we always try to talk about what does this actually mean for you? And, we're in the middle of 12 days of Shipmas, OpenAI. By the time you're listening to this, there's going to be much more, obviously. Sora came out a couple of days ago. I was literally on stage when Canvas came out, which is one of my favorite features on ChatGPT. I have it because I'm a Plus user, and we can talk about that later. But with Sora, it's one of these things where it's really cool. It's great eye candy. It's one of these things that people have to talk about. But what it actually does in practice, I don't know. It's not that I'm skeptical. It's just, Jaeden, the point that you're making about how much it costs for like a 5-second video, how many you can make. When you look at people, so my buddy Robert Haslam, who I work with at AI Mindset, he's my colleague, and he's a phenomenal AI strategist, but also incredible designer, right? One of the best I've ever met. And when he creates images on Dolly, Midjourney, everything else, they're extraordinary, way better than mine, right? And why is that? It's because he knows, first of all, what good quality looks like, so he can steer it. But that comes from iterating, right? He doesn't just put in a prompt and it's perfect. He knows, should have steered it like this, should have done this, should have done this. So that means that when he's creating a great image, I've seen his work behind the scenes. He'll create like 40 or 50 images before he comes out with the right thing for our newsletter or for our post or for like what we're doing at AI Mindset. When you have such limited credits with something like this, with a runway or with a Sora or something like that, to get it right is really exponentially harder, I think, than trying to just do a single image, because it takes much longer to churn up the video for one thing, but also you just can't do 100 different versions of it. So that's one thing if you want to sort of like create B-roll or something like that. And I know Coca-Cola, who we love on this show, love what they do. They have a head of generative AI, this great guy over there, and they just made this very controversial commercial because it used generative AI. I was all for it, frankly.
Yeah. Same.
But they also had 3 giant agencies working on this and probably spending tens of thousands of dollars
Exactly.
just on that. So I guess that's sort of like where I hesitate. Do you know what I mean?
100%. So I think if you're a big media production company, if you're a big multinational, like spending $1,000 to get the perfect 30-second clip, no big deal. You probably spend $10,000 if it's an actual production company. So I could see some savings there. For everyday users, though, it feels like, oof, is this going to save you money? Okay, before we wrap up this episode, I wanted to talk a little bit about exactly what this thing looks like. They have a couple interesting UI elements that I think are important. One of them is that you're able to choose the dimensions of the actual video, which I think is great. The other is that you're able to choose, like we mentioned, the quality. So if you want this thing to be 480p, you're then able to go and choose the duration, which we mentioned, and that directly impacts the cost.
Right.
And then you also have this little button on there that shows how many of these videos you want to generate, right? So with Dolly, like you mentioned, a lot of people want to generate like 4 different examples. So you can generate 4 different videos and pick up which of them you like the most. But again, you got to be careful because these things are expensive, and so you got to really make sure you have it dialed in. I think the way people are going to end up using this is maybe they'll generate 4-5 second at 480p. Pick, like, essentially they're going to find one that they like. I hope there's an upscale feature eventually, kind of like Midjourney, so you just pick the one you like and upscale, or else they're going to rerun the prompt just one time at 1080p with the one they like. So
I love it.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I think the UI is cool. I'm excited to see, where they kind of go with Sora, how this rolls out when everyone gets it. When we get our hands on it and are actually using it, we will keep you all up to date on how this thing works. Anyways, thanks so much, everyone, for tuning in to the podcast today on Sora. Hope to catch you all next time. And if you haven't already, the number one thing you could do this Christmas season to warm our hearts, other than buying Conor's AI Mindset course, which is linked in the description, you absolutely have to do that, and buy that for your loved ones for Christmas. That is probably the greatest Christmas investment you could give anyone. What you got to do is leave us a review on the podcast. Makes our hearts happy. Thanks so much for tuning in, and we'll catch you next time.